Hi everyone, today I'd like to talk to you about developmental gene networks. Developmental gene networks work in a manner where a gene like A here will stimulate the product, and a gene like B will suppress the product. A good analogy for a stimulatory gene would be this charger. So if this charger stimulates my computer, we'll get the product of charging. So if we plug it into the wall, we get charging. To extend this analogy, an inhibitory gene would be like this surge protector, where if we plug the charger in, we still don't get any charging. But if we were to suppress the suppressing gene by flicking the switch, then we would get charging. Take this developmental network, for example, where the end product is the generation of spikes. Well, spikes are stimulated by gene E, and gene E is stimulated by gene K. Unfortunately, gene K is inhibited by gene I, but fortunately, gene I is inhibited by gene P, which is in turn stimulated by gene S. So in the wild type scenario with this entire gene developmental network, spikes will be generated. In the P minus version of this developmental network, the P gene is inactive. So it can no longer suppress the I gene, which suppresses the K gene, which stimulates the E gene, which stimulates spikes. Therefore, the P minus version of this pathway will not produce spikes. In the I minus version of this pathway, I is no longer around to suppress K. And remember, K stimulates E, which stimulates spikes. So if K is no longer being suppressed, spikes will be generated. In the I minus and E minus version of this pathway, I is no longer around and neither is E. But E is all we have to look, because if E is not around, it cannot stimulate the production of spikes, and therefore spikes will not be generated in this pathway. In the last case, which is the S minus and K minus version of this pathway, K is not around to stimulate E to stimulate the production of spikes, so there will be no spikes generated. You may be wondering why every cell in the body doesn't produce spikes if every cell in the body has the same genome. Well, one possible reason is that an environmental factor could be suppressing the production of gene P, and therefore I is not suppressed and continues doing its job of suppressing K, which stimulates E, which stimulates the generation of spikes. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of how developmental gene networks operate. Thanks for watching.